chosen.
Hello, investigators, discerners of the false versus the true reality. I'd like to talk to you today about the SolarWinds Orion data breach. As you know, it occurred Sunday evening, affecting the U.S. Treasury Department as well as several U.S. agencies and other private companies. It was understood to have occurred over networks, but the extent of the compromise has not been completely disclosed. CISA, which manages our cybersecurity, gave Directive 2101, basically telling all affected organizations to power down any SolarWinds Orion products immediately. In an event which I doubt is completely coincidental, it also happens that Dominion Voting uses a SolarWinds product. This poster MZ26 states that specifically Dominion Voting Systems uses a form of the product that's FTP software. This is actually considered to be different from the Orion software that was compromised. I'm sure you may be familiar with this individual, Chris Krebs. He previously headed CISA. He directed CISA from November 2018 to November 2020. Mr. Krebs said our elections were completely clean and there was no foul play, and Trump said nope, not true, and got rid of him. So in Krebs' tweet, he basically warns people of using the specific Orion type product from the company SolarWinds. A Twitter user says, "To everyone who sent me a screenshot of Dominion Voting Systems website saying it's proof Dominion was using SolarWinds software and was hacked, Dominion was using FTP software from SolarWinds, not Orion software. So please don't at me until you read the whole thread." I mean, I find that a great argument, but the problem we have here are the actions. Here, Ron, also known as CodeMonkeyZ, details to us that SolarWinds deleted their customers page for just following the breach. And this is what you get when you click on a page, you get the 404. Here on the web archive version of the customer services page, it shows you who the customers are. So SolarWinds customers include military, Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, education institutions, all 5 branches of the U.S. military, NASA, NOAA, Department of Justice, Office of the President of the United States. Wow, this company was everywhere. And then there's a huge listing of like their customers here, just numerous businesses. So this is a deleted page that you can access through the Wayback Machine. And then you have this particular website, which is like a login for Dominion Voting called dvsfileshare.dominionvoting.com. They basically delete any reference to SolarWinds. So that action alone suggests a possible connection to the breach, despite whatever is said about FTP versus Orion software being used. If you go to that particular web page now, it no longer has the corporate logo for SolarWinds. However, if you inspect the element, and under bottom logos, then you see the bottom logo that was previously there but is no longer visible, and it is www.solarwinds.com. And if you put the respective link into the web archive search field, you will then get the latest saved page, which happened to be December 14th. This was just after the breach, but prior to the change. And at the very bottom, below login, you have the logo SolarWinds. So there's obviously an effort to obscure the connection between SolarWinds and this company, which is already under the microscope due to our situation with the election. Now, one thing I don't understand is why did the web crawler create this specific save spot on December 14th, but not any time prior? I suspect Ron may have manually created a save spot for this web link just prior to it being deleted in order to preserve it. About a year ago, I did a video which covered the YouTube P-score issue. Some YouTube researchers had discovered that it's possible to determine your video's visibility on YouTube by using inspect element. YouTube did not like that people discovered that they can figure out how popular they had potential to be. So YouTube covered up that possibility by changing what's visible by inspect element. I took things a step further and went to the web archive to find the original page of the video prior to that change by YouTube. For a short while, this enabled me to use inspect element to determine the P-score of various channels. However, as you see for the month of October, later YouTube went back in to their system and they actually deleted all the data for the specific time period. They did this because, amazingly, the phenomena of the P-score showing an inspect element was something that was very short term, only occurring in the month of October. But the company was able to go to Internet Archive and delete entries. I say all this because this is something I anticipate that Dominion may do. They may go into Internet Archive and delete this entry showing the connection to SolarWinds, as they are already in very hot waters with the election. This user, 321C, used a particular website that allows you to look at DNS information for given web links. That particular web page I showed you with the login, this here, is a Fileshare subdomain for Dominion. This particular individual looked up the web link on a DNS investigation tool, and he found that the server location for such a domain happened to be in Guangzhou, China. I tried to reproduce these results on a DNS lookup site, but I have not found the site that provides this specific information. This is partly due to the fact that this particular web link, DominionVotingSystems.com, does not appear to exist, at least anymore. Now the web link is Dominion System without the S. This Twitter user, Y3Bra, says that Dominion CEO John Poulos lies under oath. Let's see what's meant by that.
Nor has it ever used SolarWinds Orion platform, which was the subject of the DHS emergency directive dated December 13, 2020. Dominion Voting Systems did not now, nor has it ever, used SolarWinds Orion platform, which was the subject of the DHS emergency directive dated December 13, 2020.
So perhaps that statement is true if there is a difference between FTP and Orion software. This video goes on to show this, which I do not completely understand, because the person enters the incorrect password, does not know the correct password, but you'll see what happens. So I'm not sure what's going on here, but something happens and the web page changes to this particular web page for SolarWinds. Despite what he says, just the fact that the company chose to hide the logo is suspicious. What's also suspicious is that Kevin Thompson, the SolarWinds CEO, sold $1 million worth of stocks just prior to the election. An additional layer of deception exists concerning this matter. Here's a page for Dominion Voting Systems after the initial update, which got rid of the SolarWinds logo. It still left a Serve You web link. When I previously clicked on that web link, I was able to show you this particular page, which shows at the bottom ServeYouSales@SolarWinds.com. So yeah, ServeYou is obviously affiliated with SolarWinds. ServeYou is a managed file transfer MFT website for remote file sharing. Now, the SolarWinds Security Advisory website lists those specific products of SolarWinds that could be affected by the breach versus those which are not likely to be affected by the breach. It turns out that the ServeYou MFT server is on that list for not affected by this security vulnerability. But interestingly, they say products believed to be not affected by this security vulnerability, seeming to indicate that they're not really sure. So it could have been that lack of surety that led them to delete the logo and even any subtle references like this ServeYou web link. I guess I would say the major takeaway from this video is that Dominion Voting is obviously nervous about public perception of an association with SolarWinds, and that the Dominion CEO, he specifically states that Dominion did not use the SolarWinds Orion software, though as I've shown you, it does not appear entirely clear that the company is sure other software was not also breached. If there are any updates, I'll let you know. Peace.